There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With even more exclusive content, with over 150 channels in your vehicle, including the widest, deepest variety of music, ad-free. Root for your team. Get news. Listen to whatever makes you laugh. And hear all about your favorite stars. Your Platinum Plan offer includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels filled with music and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video. Thousands of hours of shows and performances on demand. What you love is on now.
The modern 12-volt specialist has been tasked with a very huge responsibility, ranging from installing sound systems all the way to vehicle security. And to make this whole machine work, it takes an incredible amount of accessories to make it happen. On tonight's show, we've got 5 different brands presenting all different types of accessories that you, the 12-volt specialist, may need or may not even know about, but you're going to learn about tonight. This is CMA Live, the mobile audio accessories episode, and it starts now. Good evening, everybody, and thanks for tuning in this evening to CMA Live, presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Mobile audio accessories, we're trying to find a term to kind of put all these different type of products into and come with you guys with a show that really covers a wide spectrum of different category of products. Now, tonight we have brands that are going to talk to you about wiring, about accessories, about everything that has to do with installing, mobile audio. But we also have other brands coming to you with different type of accessories, stuff that'll help you put in USB connections or maybe a backup power supply that you might not know about. In any case, we have them all lined up tonight. Don't you dare go away. Make sure you pull out the notepad. Guarantee you're going to learn something from this evening's show. But to get things started, we're going to start with a pretty big brand in the accessory category. I think everybody watching obviously is aware of this brand. The brand, of course, is Metra. And tonight we have their Canada sales rep, Mr. Gatlin Sandhu, coming into the studio with us.
Hello, Ben.
Gatlin, welcome back. Haven't seen you in a while, brother.
I know. It's been a minute or two.
Well, I'm happy you're here. We're here talking about something that you hold near and dear to your heart. That is, of course, accessories, or I think the word you like to use is peripherals, if I'm not mistaken.
That is the word that I like to use. Actually, it was at the top of my head. I was going to say that. Metra is a peripheral company. We're not a hardware company. We make all the, the accessories that you will need to install aftermarket car audio.
Okay, well, let's start with, I guess, the way to look at Metra is kind of like the parent company. And then under the umbrella of Metra, there's a whole bunch of different sub-brands. And one of the ones I want to start asking you about was T-Spec. So what exactly is T-Spec and what does that represent within the Metra line?
T-Spec is what I would like to consider the upper echelon in car audio accessories. So when we look at the umbrella of all the companies that Metra kind of encompasses, T-Spec is kind of the largest one. But we also have a few other kind of mid-tier companies, Raptor and Install Bay as well, depending on where your price points are going to be. But T-Spec represents kind of what we like to consider, again, the upper echelon in installation products. We take a lot of pride in the T-Spec line. Years ago, it was called Tsunami. We switched the brand to the T-Spec brand, Tsunami T-Spec. And again, the T-Spec brand represents a lot of thought, a lot of listening. We do a lot of product development based on what our customers' needs and wants are. And so when you look at the T-Spec line, we've developed it in a way in which it's very user-friendly and it's very aesthetically pleasing and also very functional. So when you look at the T-Spec line, again, it's the upper echelon in the installation product. I'd like to consider even in consideration of our competition, for example. We do a lot of great things, including our packaging, the products inside, very usable, and again, upper echelon.
Okay, so we've established what the brand is. Can you share with us a couple of recent or newer products coming up from T-Spec? And while you're at it, maybe we can talk about some Install Bay products as well.
Sure. So there's a lot of newer-ish products that were released at the SEMA show of last year. We have some new and exciting things coming up at this year's SEMA show. But in regards to what kind of came up last year, and again, what Importel is carrying currently is a lot of our distribution blocks. If any of our consumers out there have had an opportunity to use any of our new distribution blocks, again, a lot of thought has gone into these distribution blocks, the styling, the aesthetics, and the usability of them. Not just 4-in, 4-gauge in, and 4-gauge outputs, but 4-in, 8, smaller gauged, and you can also do fused as well as grounding all within one block. So we've done a lot of smaller footprint type distribution blocks from the T-Spec lineup, as well as there's a new line as well, which is called the clean wiring kits. I'm not sure if you have an opportunity to check those out, but all of the wiring is labeled for your front, rear, and subwoofer outputs. Has a really nice Temflex sheet coating on it. And that's what wiring and accessories is all about. Maybe not necessarily just the brand name, but the way that things are being done now. It is so important to have things organized, clean, and looking appropriate, not just sounding appropriate. But when you open up the back hatch of somebody's vehicle and you look at the wiring, I mean, I'm sure as a car audio specialist yourself, that's the very first thing that you look at before you even hear it, is what the installation looks like.
I'm not gonna lie, I judge. I'm a judger. I will definitely look at the wiring and look at how not only is it set up, but the selection of components that they use for wiring. Did they cheap out on it? Does it balance? Does it match with the quality of the rest of the gear as far as the peripherals go?
I'm even down to things. Are you using copper clad or using copper wiring? I'm looking really close to sheathing. I'm looking at the Temflex. I'm looking at the heat shrink. Is there label on it? These guys are taking the installation to the next level, and so with the T-Spec line, you can do that.
Tell us more about some features and benefits from maybe dealers who are looking at the T-Spec line, because it is a complete line. So there's a lot of benefits, I think, from also a POP perspective and the way it presents.
Right. So again, when you're looking at the T-Spec line, all of our packaging, I'm not sure if you've had an opportunity to look across the entire lineup of products, but our packaging is second to none. We do the best POP we possibly can for our consumers when we put this stuff up on their slat wall. It's appealing to the eye. However, the stuff that's inside is what really matters as well. True gauge copper, proper RCA cables, shielded RCA cables. It's quality stuff. It's not like you're going to Walmart and picking up a kit there. It's the higher end stuff. Even examples, things like smaller distribution blocks. I'll just quickly unbox this thing here to show you very quickly. I'll just rip this thing open, give 2 regards for the packaging. Goes in the garbage anyways, but look at the quality of the distribution block. So this one here is a 1/0 in and a 4/0, and a nice clear cover that goes over top there.
Nice and low profile as well.
Low profile. So with all of the distribution blocks that we've now come out with, very much the same type of style of distribution, whether it's a 2-bank with the power and the ground all in one distribution block. But they're all consistently labeled, and they're all consistently in the style in which they are as well. So we go above and beyond. So what are the products and benefit features? One is POP. One is the quality of the product as well. And that's
well, I think on that topic, I wanted you to segue into this. Obviously, a brand that belongs to Metra, I would expect, and this is my word, expect top shelf support for dealers when it comes to technical support and maybe tools available to help upsell customers that come into their shop.
So if you're not familiar with the Metra Dealers Only website, that's for our dealers and distributors who can go on there and, not necessarily, complain about certain things, but make us aware of, maybe certain product ideas or become more aware of product offerings, things that are being, showcased in new distribution networks within Canada. We also have our Metra Tech Support page, and you'll find actually if you're on the Metra Tech Support page on Facebook that you'll get a lot quicker answers from that Facebook page than you would per se staying on the telephone. You can even use that search bar there, use that as a tool. And of course, myself, you get a hold of myself either through my email address on the website or my telephone number. The telephone number on our website is actually my direct cell phone, so it goes right to my pocket. So if you have an issue or a concern, if you're looking for a product development idea, or you're looking to compile a certain amount of installation accessories, give me a shout and I can give you the right part numbers and get you the right direction as to where to get them.
I was just going to say, if you need some guidance, if you especially want to do your initial order or you're not sure what your shop needs, Galen's got a ton of experience that can help you kind of design that order to suit, your shop. So I think that's a great resource as well. And probably arguably one of the most accessible people, in the industry. Galen has no qualms about it. You call that phone number and he picks it up.
It's true. I eat, sleep, and breathe Metra.
You do. You absolutely do. Okay, so here's a strategic question for you. I'm going to leave you with this one. Lots of great brands of wiring out there. Metra's one of the best, one of the biggest. What are some of the reasons that you can think of for dealers to consider doing business with Metra when it comes to wiring and accessories versus other options that may be available?
So I guess the best way to answer that question is to kind of pretend that I'm a consumer, the guy coming into your shop looking for an install of whether it's products that you're selling me or products that I've given you to install. As somebody that is, takes a lot of pride in the way that things are done, the things, the way that things look, for example, the reason why people should deal with T-Spec is because, again, it is the upper echelon in product offerings from the Metra lineup. There are a couple other tiers, like you had mentioned, like an Install Bay and Raptor. But when you look at the T-Spec line, people don't mind paying a little bit more for quality. And, as a retailer, you're able to offer a product that will withstand the test of time. It's a quality product. You're not going to be worrying about, things coming back or, waterproof connections, for example, on, distribution block, corroding or things like that. So you take a lot of pride in the quality. And so, are we, is T-Spec what would be considered the cheapest, brand out there? Absolutely not. It's absolutely not the cheapest brand out there. But when you consider it up against some other, key brands that I won't mention, but there are other brands that, cost a lot of money for very similar type of products. And, Install Bay and T-Spec come far below that, price point.
Price point wise.
So, price point shouldn't always be a consideration for, the shop itself, but more put yourself in the consumer's, mindset. You don't mind paying a little bit more for an installation if you know it's going to be done the right way the first time. You don't want to come back the second time and have to pay for it again or buy, other products to replace products that have broken. We live in Canada. There's a lot of salt and corrosion and stuff that happens to our vehicles that doesn't happen in California. So
fair enough.
We do a lot of forethought on that product development, especially in, different climate controls, especially within Canada, to eliminate a lot of those problematic, guy comes back, my subwoofer doesn't work, my fuse holder is corroded to crap because I used aluminum oxide, cabling, and now you're having to repair something and you're not making any money. So when it comes to accessories, it's a little bit more expensive, but I don't think the customer minds paying a little bit more to get a better product. That's why they should use us.
You should, and you should definitely have some open package, let the customer touchy-feely this stuff. I always say that's always a closer as well. Gavin, thanks so much for joining us. Good to see you back again, brother, and thank you for sharing with us all these details about T-Spec and Metra as a wire and accessory partner.
Thank you very much, Ben.
Take care now.
Take care.
You saw that. It was metraonline.com. If you're looking for more information on the product, multitude of different distributors, whether you're in the US or Canada, get a hold of Metra and they'll point you in the right way. All right, so that was your traditional, when you think of wiring and accessories, obviously Metra is going to come to mind. Our next brand that we're going to be focused on is going to take us into another type of mindset. They've come up with some pretty ingenious products that are kind of out of box, but as a retailer in the 12-volt specialty market, you should definitely pay attention. The brand is Vox Electronics. Everybody's heard about Vox, but the product we'll be talking about, well, I'll let our next guest tell you all about it. I'd like to welcome, his name is Michael Lavelle, and he is the Vice President of Expediter Sales for Vox Electronics. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Ben, how are you?
I'm very well. Tonight, we find Vox in a category which some may find intriguing because it's not like, you're big on car wires or that type of stuff like our previous guest. But Vox has a trick up their sleeve and a couple of items that I think we definitely as CMA want you to kind of put forth. So I guess what we want to talk about is the VPS. We've talked about it back in our marine segment. We're going to talk about it again during our accessory segment because it's such a unique product. I'm not going to steal the show. Mike, why don't you tell us what VPS is from Vox Electronics?
So the VPS is the Vox Power System. It's a very innovative power product where it gives you the ability to jumpstart a vehicle. That might not be a new concept, but this product is different in that it's permanently installed in the vehicle. So unlike a lot of the jump packs that are on the market, which typically someone throws it in the trunk, it sits there for a year, you go to use it, it doesn't have any power left in it because it doesn't hold the charge for that long. So being permanently installed in the vehicle and being able to kind of trickle charge as the vehicle is used, and then hold that charge for a long period of time after the vehicle has been utilized, it gives you the ability to, charge a vehicle really, that's been sitting around, might be, an auxiliary vehicle somewhere that just doesn't get used that often. And you might be sending a porter out there to, keep charging it, which we see a lot at car dealerships. So that's kind of where the product kind of came from in a sense.
Well, let's clarify a couple of things. When we're talking about these other, boost options, we're talking about the cheapy ones that you see, where online, and they promise that you can boost. And you said it right. A lot of times you buy the stuff and you just kind of put it away or you store it in your vehicle. The problem is the time that comes when you need it most.
Right.
It just might not be there for you. So on that note, what are some of the ideal scenarios or ideal customers that this VPS system would be ideal for?
So we look at a lot of, whether you're a fleet administrator, certainly you have a fleet of vehicles out there. The vehicles in many cases are the lifeblood of that business. If you don't have a vehicle ready to roll, you're not doing business that day. And in some cases, if it's an emergency vehicle, those vehicles have lots of accessories that draw lots of power. And many of the police departments out there do have kind of an auxiliary fleet of cars. They're not used on a daily basis. We've heard from several different places around the country, from different police departments and things of that nature, where it might be some municipality that has a fleet of vehicles that maybe is only used in kind of a seasonal way. And, those vehicles just kind of sit around and they go to get used one day and, there's nothing there. So now they got to figure out how to jumpstart the vehicle. The vehicle might be in a garage somewhere where it's tough to get another vehicle close to it. So we feel that the product, solves a problem for a lot of those types of customers. You had mentioned, of course, boaters, and power sports types of vehicles of any kind, really. But boaters, I think any boater who's been in that scenario where they go to turn the key and there's just nothing happening, which, depending on where you're boating, can be a kind of a terrifying thing.
And pricey if you're asking for a boost on the water.
Absolutely. And if you've live on the coast like I do, sea tow is an expensive option if you can't get going. So I think for a boater, it's a real no-brainer, to add that level of security, because this battery is simply there for, exactly for that scenario where, someone forgets to turn something off, you're sitting at anchor for several hours, and, that you now have power to start the engine.
You mentioned, a vehicle that's an auxiliary vehicle. I'm thinking to myself, what about vehicles that are seasonal, right? That you might want to store for a long time, maybe especially in Canada or northern where you are, Mike, in New York, the winters are long. Maybe a lot of the toys we put away for the winter. So if this is a hardwired device, is this something that needs to be removed for storage, or can you just keep it there? How does that work?
No, you can keep it on the vehicle. It really doesn't make much of a difference having it on the vehicle. It'll hold the charge for 6 months. And as long as it is fully charged, it actually has the ability to charge to jump about 20 vehicles.
Wow.
So it's an innovative concept on something that was already kind of there. It just hasn't been kind of thought through all the way.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Now, one other feature I should say about this device is obviously you could manually, engage it with the button that's on the actual device, and the device is only this big. But a unique feature is the phone application that comes with. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, the phone application adds a level of simplicity, really. In many cases, the battery, in some, especially foreign vehicles, might be in the trunk of a vehicle. If you're working on a commercial type of truck, the battery could be in a location, that's just not really accessible. Certainly a boat, in some cases you're crawling into the engine room on a larger boat. So the app really gives you the ability to control the device without having to, physically go to the device. So, it's a very, convenient application that just gives you the ability to jumpstart right from your phone. And, it's as simple as that.
Yeah, makes it super easy. It's a great device. I encourage you guys to tune in. We have a whole session that we'll be doing with the team at Vox to really uncover this unique device that is changing the game, and a great opportunity for you 12-volt dealers to get on board with, because nothing like this exists out there. And if you can be the guy, in your region to have it before anybody else, you might build a reputation there, and that word will spread. I want to spend this last question just to kind of segue away from the VPS unit for 1 second, because it's worth one question here, and that is, Gentex is a brand that belongs to Vox as well. And we've talked about in the past that crazy rear view mirror, because that's what Gentex specializes in. But I heard there's some unique features about it, or something new that might be coming down the pipe you might want to mention.
Yeah, I think anyone in the industry should be aware of the Gentex full display mirror. Gentex has been the key OEM supplier to many of the automotive companies, but in the aftermarket, we have the ability to sell that same exact type of product, the same level of product. It's spec'd to an OEM spec. And that product gives you the ability to have an auto dimming rearview mirror, but also if you're driving in an SUV and you have, let's say, a Suburban, and you have a bunch of heads that you're looking at when you're looking in the rearview mirror, it gives you the ability to turn that into a video monitor with a super high def camera that gives you an unobstructed view out of your rearview mirror. So one of the things that we're looking to launch at around SEMA would be a different camera application that gives you more applications for the system than we have today. So I'll leave it there as a little teaser.
Oh, that's awesome. That mirror is so slick, and like you said, because they are the OEM supplier, then it just makes sense. VoxElectronics.com is the website you want to go to for any of the notes or information that Michael's provided us tonight on the Vox Power System. Can't miss it. Orange little box, kind of stands out by itself. Super innovative. And thanks, Michael, for coming in and sharing with us some details of what we might be looking forward to from an announcement standpoint at SEMA later this year.
Thank you.
Take care, Michael.
Bye.
All right. Trying to give you lots of different variation, lots of different options, lots of different things to think about. We're going to go back to another brand, which, you know what, I have to say I'm kind of proud of. It's actually from Canada in the wiring department, and it's been developed by longtime distributor, and really a brand that I've been, obviously working with for literally over 2 decades, based out of BC, and that is Trends Electronics. We have with us tonight their national sales manager, Grant McFadder, to tell us about iConnex. What's going on, Grant?
Hey, Ben. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, it's accessory night, and how could we have accessory night and not have iConnex at the table, man? Of course we're going to have iConnex here.
Nice to have us on. Appreciate it.
Well, wiring, accessories, iConnex didn't exist 20 years ago. I know that, and all of a sudden you guys developed something. You went ahead and literally created a new brand within this, category. So I wanted to hear from you. What were some of the goals that you had in mind when you set out to create this brand called iConnex?
Well, the initial goal was to compete with others that were eating our lunch, because we're the original Phoenix Gold distributor, and we were selling tons of Phoenix Gold accessories, and then these other brands were coming in with lower priced products, and quite frankly, inferior products with CCA, which is copper clad aluminum, as we're well aware of. So the initial lineup of iConnects came out to compete with that rather than discounting the better quality Phoenix Gold products at the time. So that's evolved, thank God, over the years that we've, the last 3 years, or the last 4 years, we've made a conscious effort to really rebrand the brand. And none of our products now have anything CCA in them. It's all 100% pure copper. Some of it is bare copper with our 9-wire, but most of it is pure tinned copper, which we prefer to use because it's got a longer lasting characteristic. You get up to 10 times longer than just bare copper itself. And obviously for us being a big supplier to the marine industry with audio brands, that gives us a marine rating as well. So that was really the last 4 years is what I'm kind of proud of. And I think the company as a whole is proud of because it really is a higher end product. And that's the goal of the new stuff, was to not be me too, not copy what
there is no low end, basically. You start here and you stay there.
Yeah, we 100% copper or we don't play. Right?
Or bust.
So, yeah.
You make it a point to, we have our session that we did and we went deep on the entire range, but one of the points that I extracted out of that conversation that was important to you was where the product is manufactured. Why don't you tell us about that?
A number of reasons for that. And one was the partnership we had with a longtime partner of ours that's in Taiwan. The other part of it is when we started doing this was when our orange-haired friend from the South, or orange-skinned friend from the South, Mr. Trump, was implementing all his tariffs from China-made products. So we want to make this a global brand, and we were already developing it and running it with Orca in the U.S., and they're doing fantastic with it. So for them, it's a huge benefit because there's not a 15% or 20%. I don't know what the tariff is these days, but on copper wire, but it's not cheap. So there's probably at least a 15-20% savings just in a tariff. So for our international partners in the US to start with, and long-term, who knows what happens, it was important for us to get it made in Taiwan rather than China.
Very good. Very good. Very strategic. A lot of thought process. I'm going to tip my hat off to Mr. Derek Vendrasco, who's your coworker and the man behind a lot of the design. And then specifically what I want to talk to you about was the packaging. I thought that was quite unique, the way that you created the packaging for your products. And I wanted you to speak to that, not only for the blister packs, but also, the bags.
Yeah. So the amplifier kits is usually what most people see because it's the largest item that's hanging on your wall. So we wanted to make it look really high end, really professional, and show as much as possible the product inside the packaging. So I think mission accomplished on those. I still think if it's not the sexiest or the nicest packaging out there, it's certainly number 2.
We're talking about the wiring, right?
Oh no, we're talking about the packaging.
Oh, the packaging. Sorry. All right, gotcha.
The wiring's nice too. The orange is nice. No, the packaging was really important because that's the first thing the consumer sees, obviously. But obviously, the product inside is more important ultimately. So again, touching on the copper, the pure copper cable we use, twisted per RCAs. We don't take any shortcuts on it. So the other thing, when we're talking about packaging and the design that Derek did, we weren't the first one to do this. There was a few home audio companies that were doing these poly bag. This one does have the tearaway on it. Don't use the tearaway. There's a nice little Ziplocky in the back. So when dumbass sales guy like me sends the wrong length cable to the back of the install bay, and the installer whacks him in the head with it and say, "Hey, I need a 2.5 meter, not a 5.5." You don't have this, thing hanging off your slat wall.
Or a cracked blister pack.
Yeah, blister packs of the devil. So this can go nicely back in the bag and go back up in the accessory wall again, right? No harm, no foul. So sales guy.
No value loss. No value loss. Big line, power wire, speaker cables, interconnects, all types of different stuff. What are a couple of the standout items that you would strongly recommend dealers check out?
I was a rep for 17 years, up until the last couple of years where I've strictly just stepped away from that and doing my manager gig. So I used to do a lot of work on display boards. You don't want to be working on cars, sales guy over here. Demo boards, I used to do a lot of work on demo boards, and sometimes we were using somebody else's product and get everything mounted on the board. And I feel for the install techs that do this in a car, because the last thing you find out you got a bad RCA cable is when you fire it up and there's no sound coming out, right? That's when screwdrivers start flying and expletives start going off. So one of the things we're really proud of our RCA cables, even though it's not a high-end price point cable, this for us, this is our entry level. We will have some higher end stuff that I'll show you later, but this is a $30 retail price point cable, and you can pull on these ends. They're not going to fall off. We have no issues with ends falling off, any shortages at all. We use a twisted pair on here. If you do want to strip it for a video cable, it is strippable. If you're in the install bay and you're under a poor lit situation, you can easily identify the black as your negative RCA terminal, and the white is obviously, or white or silver is your positive. So the other thing I like about this too, which is really popular with install guys, is the one side has got a regular RCA barrel on it, and the other one's got a 90-degree connector on it. So those dashes where you don't have a lot of mounting depth in the back, like a BMW or some of the new Hondas, this actually helps you about a ½ inch of depth with that 90-degree connector on it. For those clean wire guys, they use this on the amplifier side, and you can 90-degree connector into your amplifier and tuck the wire underneath the amp. So this is, for not a very expensive product, is probably one of the best things, because like I said, I've been on the floor where I've done a display board and find out, got everything set up and we've got a bad cable and you got to go back in and strip everything out. So install tech guys, these don't break. They work really well. They're not expensive.
Grant said it can't go wrong with the interconnects from iConnect.
There's guys using these in very high-end installs. Our friend Nalika at Orca has got his $30,000 system in his Bronco using these cables.
Oh,
so
interesting point. Okay, pretty high-end components in that Bronco too, might I say. Rounding out this conversation, Grant, you kind of hinted at it. What can we expect to see coming down the pipe from iConnects? Any new products?
We've got a whole new line of distribution blocks planned for the new year. We won't see, it'll be 2023 before we see those. But just hot off the press, I just got these in yesterday or the day before we did our show, is our new higher end Pro Series RCA cable. This is a 6-conductor one that we're showing here. So 6 full metal ends on here, 1 jacket. You can see through, that doesn't see through the camera here, but you can see the different colors of the wires in there, so we can identify which cable is which. But we make sure that we do label it on the RCA end, 6 different colors on there, so you can easily identify which end is which if you're doing a DSP or, again, big multi-channel system like 6 or 12 of these things. We did some other things on here as well. On one side, you've got a 9-inch whip. So this would be either at your head unit side or coming out of the DSP side of your DSP system. And on the other end, we have a 16-inch whip on this one. So now you can go a 4-channel amplifier and a monoblock. So you've got 4 channels hooked up to your 4-channel. You got enough to run over to your second amplifier. So just some little tricks and stuff that myself and Derek Vendrasco that designed a lot of this product took into account when we're making a 6-channel cable. And we will have them in multiple lengths in 2-channel as well. We'll have a 1/2 meter, again, feedback from install bays. We want a 1/2 meter for those guys who use a lot of DSPs. So 1/2 meter in those. We'll have a 1/2 meter in this as well when those come out. So we'll have currently we don't, but we'll have a 1/2 meter in the inexpensive cables. So that's really brand new. Probably about in 60 days before we see it in full implementation and ready to ship to the stores, but it's on the way.
Amazing. Want to reiterate for our audience, if you're in the US and you're interested in the iConnect product, they are distributed through Orca Design. So make sure you go check out Orca if you're interested in some iConnect's product. And if you're a Canadian dealer, well, you know where to find them. Trends Electronics, they got you covered. They are iConnects. Very cool. Grant, thank you so much for coming in and sharing with us all these details about iConnects.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, buddy.
You have a good night, man.
Cheers.
All right. Again, all night. I'm going to be switching categories, throwing all different kinds of angles and different products at you to make you think about what you need in the install bay when it comes to accessories. And this next brand is no stranger for accessories, man. They've been doing it from day one. The brand is, of course, Excel or Excel Electronics, and we have tonight with us their vice president, Mr. Christian Way.
Hey, what's going on, Ben? How are you?
What's going on, Christian?
How are you?
Happy to have you on our accessories episode. Oh, honestly, how could I not have you on our accessories episode? I mean, it's kind of hand in hand. And I think I'm going to start off with that. Let's establish that right out of the gate. For those who don't know, what makes Excel such an important supplier and partner to dealers when it comes to accessories?
Man, history. I mean, starting with that, right? Just our longevity in the industry, how long we've been doing it, our experience. I think over the last, if you haven't, seen the earlier in the week, some of our broadcasts, we had, one of our founders, owners, on the show, and he's an engineer, just really, 100% in, just his way of looking at things, and his approach is, it's amazing. I mean, from top down, it really kind of starts with him, goes engineering all the way through, and we're just constantly trying to evolve and find tools and create tools that that make it easier for the dealer. And I think we've been really successful over the duration of 30 years plus probably in doing that, and creating new sources for the dealer.
If I can take a moment and quote Alan from the other day, I mean, I think what he said, he took most pride in the fact that for decades, the engineering people, brain power, resource behind Excel is what has driven them to where they are today. But more importantly is that they've continuously innovated and created product for the industry and not just copied. And I think that rings true in a lot of things we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to break this down into a couple different categories. Christian, let's first talk about a brand within your brand that's very popular, has been around for some time, and that is Bueller Relays. Can you tell us some of the most innovative and most recent popular additions to the Bueller Relay lineup that dealers really need to know about?
Yeah, again, back to the engineering side, right? And going in and looking at what is needed, and then sometimes re-engineering and making it better. Sometimes that's all it takes, or adding some circuit protection like we do, sealing our relays, adding some waterproof and dust proof on our relays. But some of the newer ones that we've done are pretty cool. I think, again, to reference the video, I really recommend you go take a look at it. He dives in pretty deep on some of our low voltage relays that are really new. And it allows you, some of the new vehicles are very, very tricky, right? Some of them don't have accessory at all. Some of them are electric, and we just, we find ourselves struggling to find a good accessory wire. Mm-hmm. And what we're doing is trying to be able to trigger 12 volts, from lower voltage, so we have our new BU 511 LV, and that'll trigger off of 1.5 volts. That's all you need. So very low voltage, very low, and it doesn't draw very much at all. And yeah, it's a great piece. Obviously you get a little bit of voltage going in the vehicle, and it knows that it's on, it knows that it's moving, and it knows that we need accessory to open it up. We also, redid and designed our accessory generator, and this is a really cool piece. Again, this one if it sees accessory, right? If it sees any kind of voltage between say 12.8 and 13.8, it'll begin to trigger it, and then it won't turn back off until the vehicle goes below a certain voltage.
I'll comment here. That one item that you just messaged, I was talking to a couple of not dealers, but technicians who called me or messaged me after our show, and they're like, "Oh my God, I did not know about this piece. How many times or how much time have I wasted trying to find an accessory that I simply could not find? If I had that piece, it would have saved me so many times over." So yes, that piece is definitely, I'm happy that you brought that one up.
Yeah, the trick was always trying to find that range that we wanted. And in most vehicles that are running, once the engine's going, it's, you're going to hit 13.8, 13.6, 13.7, 13.8. And that's what allows it to trigger. And then it opens up and allows current to go through. And again, if it needs about 12.7, 12.8 to continue producing voltage through it. So it's a very, very cool piece. And then of course, we talked about our time delay relays as well. our BU510, BU509, which of course, you crank the vehicle open, you can set the potentiometer, you can set the timer to, to not let, voltage go through, say 30 seconds. So like for amp pops, everything else like that. It's a great device.
Yeah, like even if you put like a 2 or 3 second one for the amp pop, would go away right away.
Yep,
for sure.
Yep. Or the reverse, like if you're powering off your vehicle, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're powering off your vehicle and you want it to stay on for a little bit, maybe it's a puddle light, maybe it's a running light, maybe there's a ton of different reasons why you'd want voltage to continue to go through and then shut off after a certain amount of time. So 100%. Both there's 2 different models, and they're great.
And honestly, Christian, we don't have the time tonight, but watch the show. It's on our network. And literally, if you go to the website, there is so many Bueller relays to choose from. Christian just highlighting a couple of the recent ones that are kind of being popular based on the feedback we've been getting from installers in the Bay. So we're going to hop over to another category that I know you're super proud of. And it's weird, some might find it weird that we're talking about this, that summer just started a few days ago, but really we're in Canada, and there are parts of this continent that this is a full-time business. So it's important that we talk about. How long
is summer up there? It's like,
it's not even that. This product affects vehicles that are brand new that might not be equipped with said feature, and there's a great expediter business in this, and that is, of course, seat heaters. Huge category. Big for you, big for especially Canadian dealers. But what makes the Excel one stand out, and what upgrades have you made to them to make them that much better?
Yeah, you made a quick point though that a lot of vehicles in the OE runs, they stop putting them in, right? On some of the newer runs because they, the
huge business
shortage and everything else. So a lot of these things that we're going to talk about today, I'm sure some of the other categories as well. There's going to be a pretty big opening for dealers and things that are now not equipped in cars, right? So yeah, on our again, we're always pushing. I think technology, even with with seat heaters. Last year we launched our timer and our trigger. Right, we had a trigger wire that basically you could turn on your seat heaters with the alarm, right, with our alarm remote or a simple trigger. And then, we had 15-minute timers. So, you didn't have to worry about it, in case your car was garaged or it was in a place where you couldn't turn the vehicle over, you couldn't turn it on. You could just have it directly to the battery and then just trigger it and make sure your seats are warm by the time you get in. This year we went to a different place and we added a pad isolation control, right? And this part, and I am I'm a back surgery survivor, about 20 years ago, but, not to, I think at the beginning of the year, I helped my brother move back from California back east, and I wouldn't have made that drive without a seat heater. Like my back, if it doesn't have some kind of heat on it, it's a nightmare. It'll start cramping up. So that I wasn't the reason that we did this, but it was really on quite a bit of demand. But we created this module that will, basically help you isolate the upper back from the lower pad. So you're not cooking everything. You're
so
just
only the back, but no buns.
Correct.
Interesting.
Right.
Interesting.
Right. And that module is great. And it's, it's really it's a plug-in module. So you can just stock our seat heaters and then, and push that as as an upgrade. Right. And that's another thing that we always do, again, as partners, is we're always looking for a good, better, best scenario. Even if it's in accessories, we want to give the dealer the ability to say, hey, okay, you're coming in, you're looking for this, but maybe you want this and this. We're always looking for a step up value. So they come in and, we just give them a roadmap to just be more profitable. So, with our pads, which are already OE, they're high end grade, they're carbon fiber, they're trimmable, all the things you want. I mean, our wire is it's just a thicker gauge than most of our competitors. It's just better built. Now we're going to give you that, but then we're going to give you the potential to upgrade your customer and say, hey, if you want the ability to, isolate the pads and just have the back on, there's another module I can add on. It's a simple charge and you can stock those. So, yeah, it's a great piece, and there's quite a bit of demand. I mean, if the dealers are out there and expediters, talk to your dealerships about it. I guarantee it's been asked.
Absolutely. I'm going to quote Alan again here before I ask you this next question, because according to Alan, who's the president, by the way, of Excel, he said, Ben, we are the king of USB switches. So when it comes to USB switchings and the offering that you have within that, we laugh about it. It's a huge category, and like everybody needs it, everybody wants it. everybody's on USB these days, and cars need it. So talk to us about these switches and adapters and everything you have in this category.
Heavy wears the crown, I guess.
Heavy wears the crown. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. No, we do have an extensive. Again, you can jump on our website, excel.com, go to USB accessories, and we have, or even view in our catalog, we just have a very, very extensive line of USB chargers, extensions, USB-C, you name it. And again, we've done some, we've done our homework. Back to the engineering side, small things that we listen to, about, we've heard a lot of complaints about it not working with CarPlay or Android Auto. And, everyone thought it was, oh, maybe there's something in there that's disallowing the communication, because a lot of our competitors, the USBs just weren't communicating, right? You plug it in and it wasn't accepting it. It wouldn't read the phone. And we found out that it was really just kind of a lack of copper. That's really what it was. We doubled up on the copper.
How important is
copper? Zero complaints, right?
How important is copper tonight?
Yeah, there goes the secret. That's why we're doing so well with single USB adapters. But so we just look at everything. But we have some really cool ones, new ones, charger wise. Every vehicle. I mean, if you see a car seat, I mean, kids are having tablets. There's a need for charging all throughout the vehicle. And I also think that as time progresses, and the automated vehicles become more common, and people aren't actually driving their cars, and everybody in the car is going to need some charging on their devices, right? But we have a cool, we have a USB-C USB charger with a meter that shows you the voltage coming in. That's a nice, easy round drill in. Check it out. He goes over that. He talks about an additional one that has a power button, so you can hook it up to constant. You don't have to worry about it. Not that it has a lot of draw if you're not plugged into it, but nobody wants to leave anything on the car. So we offer a little power button so you can actually manually turn it off if you want to install that in the back seat. I think he went over some of our
the one with the OE different templates that you can fit to different vehicles.
Do you see you're jumping ahead of me? Yeah, that piece is great. No, we have
I like that piece.
Yeah, HDMI USB extensions, very important, particularly for some of the video systems now that we offer. And then, of course, we have this one device, which is great. It's a dual USB charger, and it comes with a whole kit of just different punch-in, for different OEs, just the different plastics. So you're just going to a Honda, a Toyota, a Toyota Prius, a Ford. It doesn't matter. You just take out, you punch out the knockouts, you take the little switch for that, the little cover for that, snap it on over the dual device and push it in. That's it. It's that easy.
Looks like factory.
Nice and really, really nice OE look. And we can also convert those. Those are extensions, but we also have the devices that can convert that to charging if you want additional charging up front.
There you go. Again, we don't have all the night, but I think we're trying to cover as much as possible in the time we do have, Chris. So let's round this out for the dealers to understand. You got accessories in so many different categories. We talked about relays. We talked about seat heaters. We talked about this extensive amount of USB switches. You also have some really cool displays, like those tabletop displays we've talked about in the past. How can dealers go about getting one of these kind of like, automatic salesman displays, if you will?
Yeah, and it's again, it's a necessary thing. The one thing that we actually haven't really been on the road that much in a few years for obvious reasons, right? But the one thing that we noticed is, there's generally a lot of churn, particularly in the U.S. on the sales floor of our dealers, and a lot of time you have installers coming up, and there's so many different things that you forget or just don't have time to pitch. Those front store displays it's a necessary thing. You gotta have them, and we do our best to make it as easy as possible. Just with the USB displays, right? So we have one, and I think it's you buy. I want to say it's like $300 worth of USB stock. It's not it's not much.
Not crazy,
and we give you a free display, really, right? So it's really quite that easy, and that display just plugs in. It
all lights up.
Nice. People just walk up and go, "Oh, yeah,
I need one of those."
Transaction. Hey, while you're at it, would you mind putting, a charger in the back for my kid's, iPad or whatever, So just those sort of things, and we have full wall displays if you want to take it different, for all of our other categories, and big, you can either do, 12 by 60 or 48 by 60, and they're long, white, very, very clean panels. The style. It's been pretty prevalent in the car stereo stores for a few years. There's a couple of manufacturers. We build our own, and they look great. We can customize them. We can do multiple categories on one, or if you just really want to settle one, we can do a video one, security.
And that information they can deal with their distributor and inquire.
Absolutely. Right. So our partners up in Canada, B&B and Portel, they're great. They know all about it.
If you're in the US, there's the address.
In the US, we have a ton. I can make a list. Yeah, but we have a ton of great partners in the US as far as distributors. Reach out to your local distributor. And most likely, over 30 years, they're probably buying something from us, and we can work it out with you.
There you go. Christian, we covered it, man. Thank you so much for coming in tonight. And go watch that episode that Christian and I did. Well, actually, it wasn't you, Christian. It wasn't me. You passed the torch. Alan and I did. That's Alan and I did on all the stuff that we covered today. Thanks so much, Christian. Take care now.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you. Have a great.
Right. Last but not least, we're going to finish strong with one of the big players when it comes to wiring and accessories. When I mean big, I mean huge. Amp Global. Ever heard of them? Yeah, you probably have. Kind of a big brand. Lots of accessories. Specifically with the Stinger brand that they own. And we're talking about Stinger. We're going to go to their Director of Training and Events, Mr. Jeff Smith.
Hey, Ben.
We're going to finish strong tonight, Jeff. We're going to finish strong tonight.
Baby.
We've had some great guests on tonight. Accessories is one of those things that I get excited about because I love peripherals. I love accessories. I always judge a system. When I sit down, someone's bragging to me about their system, I usually don't look at the main components first. I look at, where the attention to detail, the sound damping, the wiring, the cleanliness. That's what I look for. I know you do too. So I guess where do I begin? This is a tough one because you guys covered a lot. So I'm gonna strip it down. Let's start with the interconnect category. And the reason I want to start with the interconnect category is because Stinger offers something, that I think is pretty special, and that is a wide array of different ways to sell it, different levels to sell it, and in my opinion, arguably maybe the highest end component as well.
This is very true. Interconnects, Ben, are just like the inner workings of an audio system. They can be the weakest link in an audio system that would really break the flowing of your audio signal from your head unit to your DSP, from your DSP to your amplifier, or directly from your head unit directly to your DSP. The interconnect market is very vast, and it has many different levels of cable quality and dependent upon the installation, different lengths, different materials for noise cancellation, different topologies, everything from coaxial cables, from stereo pair, twisted pair, triple twisted, shielded, and things like that, and using single compounds. From some people use inexpensively, people even use CCA wire. We use in the Stinger brand and Stinger X, our higher end line, we use full copper. And then we also tin that copper as well. But we even use silver plating and dedicated silver conductors as well. I mean, everything been from our entry level and our X series. X1 is going to be a twisted pair for our entry level cable in the X series, all the way up to the pinnacle of what we have in that Stinger line is 9,000, where you're going to have a 2-channel cable that has 12 conductors in it, Ben. You're talking about the most advanced high-end audio cable in the car audio industry. You're talking about a cable that has dedicated copper conductors, dedicated silver conductors, and dedicated drain wires per channel. Ben, 6 conductors per left channel, 6 conductors per right channel in a single 2-channel cable. The most high-end audio cable for the automotive industry. Stinger 9000.
I know you would never mind if that box got lost somewhere. Right?
They're kind of hard to come by right now. But
I know, but when you start talking about drain wires and silver, I mean, that is some sick stuff. And I know I'm not the only one that gets giddy when we start talking about that language. You talked about CCA. A lot of other guests have talked about wire. I want to get the technical out of you, Jeff. When it comes to the different categories of wire, what does it really come down to as far as the difference that reflects not only performance, but also durability, longevity, and price?
Well, of course, price is always going to be the highest if it's a full 100% OFC, pure virgin copper cable. And hopefully it's going to be a cable that is like we add 10 microns of tin onto the cables in order to help give it a good looking translucent jackets, and also help protect it when it's in the elements under a vehicle, when you're putting something under a hood or wherever, even in a marine or power sports application. That few microns of tin actually helps it. But the different types of cable, there's CCA, copper clad aluminum, which we all know. There's going to be copper, full copper. Then a lot of manufacturers dabble in the middle in 2 or 3 different scenarios. You have some that create a hybrid wire that's a mixture between CCA and copper. And then you have some that go to the low end standards of the industry, or the American wire gauge, AWG. When you look at the side of wires, they go to the bottom end of that and they reduce the amount of wire but keep the jacket the same size in order to still say it's a full copper. So you have to really know, as a consumer and as a shop, where you're putting the right amount of money into these accessories, because everyone talks bad about CCA, but Ben, CCA can be used, but as long as it's used in the right scenario. But in most of those scenarios, it's going to cost you more and be a little bit harder of an installation to ensure you have the right gauge of CCA in order to even make sense. When in most scenarios, just spend the proper amount of money for copper, do it right, don't even have to worry about it, because we know 8 gauge copper is equal to 4 gauge in CCA. 4 gauge copper is equal to 0 gauge in CCA. If you know the limitations of your installation, pick the right cable, explain to your customer, sell it up front. Don't make it an after sale for your accessories.
Very well said. Very well said. Full catalog from Stinger as far as wires, accessories, fuse blocks, all this type of stuff. Can you help us understand the hierarchy of it all and how everything breaks out, so that dealers, when they're looking at the Stinger website or the catalog, that they kind of get an understanding of how all this works? Sure.
There's technically 3 levels of Stinger accessories, of the family of different levels. Core is going to be what people have known for years. When you go to our Stinger website, stingerelectronics.com, Core is going to be all the things you've seen for years. Standard distribution blocks, your 1000, 4000, 6000, 8000 series cables, roadkill materials, and things like that. Then you're going to have Stinger Select, which is going to be our budget-friendly or price conscientious. I don't like to say entry level. It's going to be those value, price, performance, interconnects, power wire, and things like that. Then, of course, you're going to have Stinger X. Anything you see with the Stinger X logo on it, Ben, this is created for our dealer channel. This is where you're going to get into serialized, map-protected products that are feature-rich above and beyond what Core was, and is always going to be where you're going to find the highest end of all of our products in the Stinger X series. So within each one of those families, except for Select, in Core and in X, you're going to find interconnects. You're going to find power kits. You're going to find power management. You're going to find sound damping or sound treatment. And then you're going to find a sprinkling throughout the brand of power wire. And then you're going to find the batteries, of course, in Core. So it's a huge variety in your store to have in your store. And we have planograms available. We have preset ways of displaying the stuff in the stores that can help dealers manage and really be able to use the POP that we have available to help them sell the products and display them, so that when someone comes in, they know from start to finish, you can have Stinger accessories in your car from front to back and never have a weak link in your system.
No weak link with Stinger. I like that. Okay, let's pick your brain a little bit, Jeff. Obviously, there's a million products to choose from, but if you had to choose a few with dealers tuning in right now, what are some hot items or some innovative items that you think they really need to know about?
Probably one of the most innovative items right now, Ben, would be the one I just held in my hand, the Stinger X-Link, the Xfdb 108. This is a single fuse holder that can be used standalone to work with 8 gauge, 4 gauge, or 0 gauge. It can also work with mini A&L fuse holders or regular full-size A&L fuse holders. But what's really interesting is that you can stack multiples of these fuse blocks together to create your own distribution block. And we covered a lot of this in our Connected earlier in the week. But this distribution block, fuse block, can be used in so many different scenarios, because it can be your main fuse holder under your hood. It can be stacked with two units in the back to be power distribution. You can stack 2 more to create power and ground distribution. You can make this. This is an installer's dream. This is a store owner's dream.
I was just gonna say maybe store owner's dream, because
Yeah,
like
you
you're
have
talking one SKU.
fuse holder on the wall.
Does
that
everything.
covers everything. And then if you were to buy the Stinger Ultimate kits, the Ultimate Power kits, not only do you get the benefits of the Ultimate Power kit, but it also comes with the Xfdb 108 as the main fuse holder under the hood.
In the kit.
In the kit.
Gotcha.
So we provide all of the graphical information on the back to show you exactly how to use it, how to stack them together, how to go from 8 gauge to 4 gauge to 0 gauge, anything and everything you need to know. The Xfdb 108 is a winner from the front of the store to the back of the store.
Awesome. Great choice. I like how you presented that. You're my last guest. I'm going to save this question for you because you are wise, sir. You are wise. Check this out. Everything you do is high end. I've seen the builds. I know your personal car. I know this stuff. You know, you're delving in that world. But not all shops have figured out the art of closing and upselling their customers to premium accessories. I want to hear what advice you can share with us. Well, this is deep. This is really something important for me because I used to do it as a salesperson as well, and I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, we kind of tapped into it earlier in the week, and it made me think about what you said. And I talked to a few dealers throughout the week, just asking them, you know, how do you sell accessories? How do you tell a customer you need this, you need that? And I found that a lot of our dealers in our industry sell accessories backwards. It's an and you need this.
Oh, no.
That should never be the case, Ben. That should never be the case. Kind of like what we talked about earlier is when you sell a system, when you figure out a rough budget for a system, you need to leave a certain amount of space within that system for the accessories. If you are buying a 1,000-watt amplifier, you need to pretty much be ready to spend about 20 to 30% of the money of that system for proper gauge wire, for proper terminals, for proper grounding under the hood, for the right amount of RCA cables, for the right amount of sound treatment, everything that you could imagine that you're going to need. Because when you sell someone, when someone comes in and say, hey, I want 2 15s in my car, I want some big bass. And the first thing you think about is, okay, we're going to put vinyl and plexi. We're going to put some painted inserts. We're going to paint the inside of the enclosure. We're going to do a fourth order. We're going to order them the special subs with chrome basket. At what point in time did you explain to the customer, we have to build the foundation to your system? And that is where Stinger is going to come into play. We have in-store POP for sound treatment. We have in-store POP for interconnects.
So you can show them, walk them through it.
Wire racks. We have everything to make it look glamorous in the store for people to just go, wow, this is a huge category. These are things I never thought about. Most customers have never held a piece of 0 gauge wire in their hand, and they're just like, this is what I need to power my system. Yes, sir, you do. And then you're going to need distribution blocks. Then you're going to need these interconnects, and all of these play a key, because if we cheap out on these, now these become the weakest link in your system. And that's what you don't want.
I'm going to comment on that, Jeff. I completely agree with what you just said. You're not putting yourself in a position of success if you're doing these. Oh, and by the way, you've already got the customer excited about the system. Yep. Now it's a detriment to that whole experience by adding it at the end. If anything, you take out that piece of paper, you start drawing out the system, start listing the components, such as what you mentioned, the distribution blocks, the wire, from the beginning. Just like if you're building a custom house, you want to know what the infrastructure, what's going on before you put on a single brick or shingle. So that, I love how you finished that, and I appreciate you bringing that knowledge to the show. So thank 100%. You so much.
Yep.
What else is there to say? StingerElectronics.com is the website. If you're in the US, give them a call. Amp Global, of course, is the manufacturer. And if you happen to be a dealer in Canada, well, you got 2 choices. You can either call the folks at Automobility, automob.ca, or Gentex, gentech-intl.com. They got you covered when it comes to Stinger. Mr. Jeff, thank you so much for closing out with us tonight.
Not a problem, Ben. Do it anytime for you, buddy.
All right, man. I'll see you on the next one. All right. Thanks for hanging with us through this adventure through wiring and accessories. I hope you learned something or found an idea or something we covered tonight might inspire you to get out there and maybe get into a new category or supplement what you already have. I want to thank the brands that joined us tonight, including Excel, Amp Global with Stinger, of course, Vox Electronics, Iconex and Trends, and of course, Metro. Stay tuned for our very next CMA Live in just a few weeks. Guess what? It's going to be all about DSP, folks. That's what we're heading into. DSP, digital sound processing. This is going to be a fun one. Actually, it's 2 parts. Part 1 and Part 2. That's how many brands we are covering when it comes to DSP. Continue tuning in to CMA Networks until Monday, July 11th, as we continue down the mobile audio accessories path. Lots more brands that we'll be covering one-on-one, everything from batteries all the way to speed trap detection and everything in between. That should be fun. Last but not least, reminding you to check out our website, cmanetworks.com. If you like this CMA Live or any of the shows that we do, make sure you check it out. We had a great one with Mobile Solutions and Brian, who did an awesome demo today. Check that out for sure. Lots of videos where that came from. Search by category, by brand, or even your favorite trainer. Everybody that was on tonight has their own profile on cmanetworks.com. That's it. Thanks for hanging with us. CMA Live, presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
I mean, yeah, let's talk about today where I'm gonna go topics.
Roll it down.
I am.
You don't need a car to listen to SiriusXM. You can listen anywhere. You know that, right?
What? Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio.
Kevin, you could use your phone.
What? What?
Alexa, play Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio on SiriusXM.
What?
This is how I know you're getting old. I guess that was it.
What?